Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students, welcome to our class. So last class we stopped till here. So from today, inshallah, in this class, we'll assume from the geothermal energy. So what is geothermal energy? It is another alternative source of energy, and it is obtained from the internal heat of the earth. So earth is there and the internal heat is there. So this geothermal energy is obtained from there. So how the energy, this geothermal energy, how do we get it? So you must have heard about the volcanoes found around the world. Okay, volcanoes found around the world. So these volcanic features are called geothermal hotspots. So in this hotspot, it is basically an area with reduced thickness in the mantle, which expects excess internal heat from the interior of the earth to the outer crust. So earth is there, and because of this reduced thickness, what happens is that the internal heat is easily obtained here in the outer crust. So only in the hot spots, in those areas where volcanoes are there. So how the electricity is produced from the geothermal energy? Like in these areas where volcanoes and all these hotspots are there, where just like the water is converted with this heat into steam, then the steam is used to run a turbine, a steam turbine, and that turbine generates electricity. This is how the geothermal energy is utilized to produce electricity. So there are some advantages to the geothermal geothermal energy. So you can read about it here. Like everything is easy, you can just read and understand it. And also there are the disadvantages or some limitations to uh, use the geothermal energy, which you can read about it here. Okay, for example, if it is used incorrectly, this geothermal energy can produce some pollutants that cause pollutions in the atmosphere. So all these things you can read here. And the next one is ocean. So it's a source of energy. So how there are in two ways or three ways uh, energy can be produced from the ocean. The first one is the wave power. So the wave will be there right in the ocean. So the continuous movement of the waves, the up and down, the back and forth. So this can be used to produce electricity in this way. So this is the ocean. So here in the ocean, they have built this plant. So here, in the wave comes, and in this chamber, when it fills here, so air will be there inside. So when the water fills this, the wave. So the air goes from here and it runs this turbine, and the air goes out. Once then the air comes back inside and fills here, and once again the wave comes, the air goes and runs the turbine. So this is how electricity is produced with the wave power. This is wave energy system. And the next one is tidal power of ocean to generate energy. So what is the difference between wave and tides? So wave is basically uh, the water wave formed due to the wind. But tide are formed due to the gravitational pull of moon and the sun. So gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. So the water goes up and down. Okay. So same just like this wave energy. So from the same method, what happens is that during certain times the tide will be high in the ocean. So at that time when the tides are high, so this is saved, this water is captured in a dam like thing, and then once again, once the tides have gone, this captured water is used to run a turbine. Okay, so just like the hydroelectric power plant, so it runs in the same way. So when the tides come, it is captured in a dam and then it is used to uh, run the turbine, just like in the hydroelectric power plant. The next one is the temperature variations to generate energy. So when you take the ocean, when you go deep into the ocean, on the surface of the ocean, the water will be hot, but once you go deep, it gets colder. It gets colder deep down. So these temperature variations can be used to produce electricity. How? So, for example, there will be a setup. Okay, so this is on the top, and there is some water here, and this is in the deep cold water will be there. So here inside a chamber, ammonia will be there. So with the heat of this surface water, ocean water, this ammonia will be easily converted into vapor, and this vapor will be used to run a turbine. So once this vapor reaches a turbine, this turbine runs and electricity is produced. And this vapor will be there, right? This vapor will be sent back to deep down with the help of a motor, and there the vapor ammonia will be condensed because of the cold water deep down. So condensation happens. So the ammonia vapor is converted into liquids. Now once again, this ammonia liquid is sent here, and with the top surface water heat, it is converted back to vapor, and this cycle happens and electricity is produced with the with this method. So there are some advantages and disadvantages of using ocean energy. You can read about here. And the next one is energy from biomass. So biomass is an organic material made from plants and animals. So it can be garbage, industrial waste, crop residue in the agriculture field, manure, wood, and all these things are like biomass. So biomass is a very good source of energy. So how electricity can be produced? There are two ways. First one is you can burn the biomass, and the heat emitted from it is used to uh, boil water, and the steam is used to run a turbine and electricity is produced. That is one method. And the second method is from the biomass, uh, biogas or methane can be produced. Methane or ethanol or biodiesel. So these can be used, and then they can be used as fuel. Okay, so there are two ways. First one is burning, and second one is producing biogas or methane, ethanol or biodiesel, and using them to run the machines. So they are the second method. Okay, so there are two methods from which biomass can be utilized. So there are some advantages and limitations of using biomass as a source of energy. You can read about it here, inshallah. These are some easy points. And the next one is hydrogen. So hydrogen is a future source of energy because hydrogen, it is very environmentally friendly, and it does not produce harmful uh, gases when it is burned. When the hydrogen is burned, what happens is that it only emits water vapor. Water vapor. So the carbon dioxide is not produced. Carbon dioxide is not produced. So it is environmentally friendly. Okay. So and also uh, the hydrogen can be used to create fuel cell. So this fuel cell can be used for fuel cell car, and it can be used to run car. So it is very friendly to the environment, hydrogen, but it is very costly. But so if they do a lot of research and in the future, if they can reduce the cost, then hydrogen can be the fuel of future. Okay, because the hydrogen is one of the most abundant elements in the universe, so hydrogen can be utilized as a fuel. And the next one is transformation of energy. So there is a principle or a law that is energy cannot be created or destroyed. So energy neither can it be created nor it be destroyed. So what do we mean by that? So when a fuel is there, it is some chemical energy. When you burn it, this chemical energy converts into heat energy. Okay, so this is how energy from one form converts into different form. So it does not get destroyed, but it converts from one form to another form. That is the transformation of energy. So the food has chemical energy stored in it. So when our body uses this stored energy, and when we do some work, then it is converted into kinetic energy. Kinetic energy means movement. Okay. So when you kick a ball, so your muscles change the chemical energy that is taken from the food into the kinetic energy, that is the movement with our leg. So any energy, it will not be destroyed, but it will be converted into different form. That is what is called as transformation of energy. So in the thermal power station, chemical energy of coal is transformed into heat energy to the hot steam, and then the hot steam is converted into the mechanical energy of the turbine. So there are many examples they have given here how one form of energy will be converted into different form of energy. And the next one is energy crisis and its mitigation. So what is energy crisis? In a country, there are frequent disruptions in electricity. How does this happen? Because of the gaps between the availability and the demand of electricity. For example, I'm giving you an example. Let's say that you have 10 children. I mean 10 candies, you have 10 candies, and you have to give one candy to one children or one person. So if you have 10 persons, you can equally give this 10 candies to these 10 individuals or 10 persons. So there is equal supply and equal demand. But now if you have only 5 candies, but you have 10 persons, so there is a shortage in the supply, but you have more demands. So this is the gap between the supply and demands. So if in country like India, if you are only producing certain amounts of energy or electricity, but we need more electricity, then this is the gap between the supply and the demand. So this is what is called as energy crisis. So what is the reasons behind the energy crisis? That is, in the presently in the world, 85% of the energy supply is from oil, coal, and natural gas. So we are dependent upon this. So in India alone, coal is used for 70% of the India's energy production. So the basic reasons behind the energy crisis are our over dependence on limited and exhaustible source of energy. That is, we demand more on this coal and oil deposits and increasing the gap in the demand and supply of the energy. The gap between the supply and the demand is not decreasing but increasing day by day. And the fuel prices increases every year. And reluctance in using alternative and renewable source of energy. That is, people should be using more solar energy, wind energy, and bioenergy, and overuse and misuse of the available source of energy. Some people unnecessarily use the electricity and everything, so overuse it and misuse it. So all these things lead to energy crisis. So how can we mitigate this energy crisis? Mitigate means how can we solve this problem? So there are some ways to solve this problem. So it is believed that nuclear power can be a good source for India. In France alone, then 75% of their electricity is from the nuclear energy. 75 percentage. But in India, 75 percentage, 70 percentage from the coal alone. Coal. So nuclear energy can be a good replacement. The use of renewable energy sources like solar power, wind power, hydroelectric power, these have to be increased so that the energy crisis can be solved. So in agriculture nation, that is India, we can use some bioproducts like ethanol, biofuel. The biofuel is taken from sugarcane and vegetable oils. These can be used as fuels so that we can solve the energy crisis. And the next one is conservation of energy. How do we conserve this energy? As the citizens, we have to conserve the energy, save the energy by switching off the lights whenever it's not necessary, fans and other appliances. If you don't need it, then you should switch it off it. And water taps should not be left open. And also, while cooking rice and other uh, foods, the vessel should remain covered, okay, so that it does not use much water. And also, energy can be saved. So another way of saving energy can be using energy efficient appliances. So for example, LED and CF light, these are much more energy efficient. They do not use more electricity. Instead of using the regular tube lights or the or some other bulbs, if you use LED and CF lights, these save more electricity. They need just little electricity to function. So by using these energy efficient appliances, whether it is washing machine or refrigerator, so the government gives energy certified appliances, energy efficient certified appliances. So you can use it to save the energy. So this is how as citizens we can conserve the energy, we can save the energy so that we do not increase the energy crisis. Okay. So we have completed this lesson. As usual, you have to write this what you have learned part as notes and you have to send it to me inshallah. And also don't forget to write the answers for the syntax questions and also the terminal exercise. These are very important. Okay. So complete it inshallah, and we have completed this lesson chapter 12, and we have remaining 6 chapters from 13 to 18. 13 to 18. So we have six chapters remaining, and from Monday, that is tomorrow, inshallah, Afashar will be taking those 6 chapters because from tomorrow your schools are opening. So you have to 10th standard. You have to come to school, inshallah. I hope you get those instructions from your HOD or the management. And Afashar will take the remaining chapters because I'm not in Mangalore. So Afashar will come to school and will take the lessons to you, inshallah. So study well, barakallah fikum. See you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.